there. Welcome to the Business Blondes, our inaugural first ever broadcast. We're so happy that you can join us. We're here to inspire, to amuse, hopefully and occasionally enlighten, but most of all to keep it real. Keep it real about being in business and the fun and all the frolics that go with that. And we've got some great people here, as you can see, coaches with years and years of wealth of knowledge. So we thought we'd kick off today, as it's been an extraordinary year, a year that none of us will ever forget. And here it is. It's called Liberation Week or Independence Week. It's the week when the children go back to school and a sense of some kind of new normal is, according to Boris or whoever, is now about to descend upon us. But I wonder, we're all wondering, what does the new normal look like? And so we're going to have a little chat today in the next half hour. Please add comments, please join in, please enjoy the fun. And let's talk about, what does this new normal mean? It is Independence Week. Have your children gone back? Are you feeling sad? Are you thinking, hooray, now I can get down to it? So over to Penny, the new normal, Independence Week, Liberation Week. How's it all affecting you and your business, Penny?
Well, it's been amazing, hasn't it? I went up to London for the first time last night since the 13th of March. I was so ecstatic about it. I put on high heels and I strutted off the station, and it was really weird. And I thought I would get a sense of normal doing that, but it's quite confronting, isn't it, going into London now? I think for me, I'm searching for a new normal by watching Where's Normal, but actually I think I'm discovering this week particularly I've got to create my own new normal. I've loved things about lockdown, which I may be not right to say because I know how much pain there's been around it and we've not found it that easy financially ourselves. But I have loved discovering parts of myself that I've never allowed myself to. I was manic at school. I was manic when I went into the workplace at 19. I was manic being a working mummy. I've been manic. I've never given myself permission to have a nice start to my day or a little lunch break and some guilty pleasures along the way. And going out on a cycle ride, Thomas and I did before work started today. For me, my new normal is how do I hold on to some of those lovely things that I've brought into my life, but still manage to be productive and keep going and find my own momentum. I think that's how I feel.
That's great. And putting heels on. Everyone on the call will appreciate this, that I've got the shoe collection to rival any shoe collection, and they're kind of gathering dust. And I do try and wear heels. And I think when you work from home, you're the composite businesswoman or business guy. From here, you're professional. But what you've got on your feet, nobody knows. Slippers, flip-flops, barefoot business.
When I got out of bed this morning, my back, my hips, everything was hurting. I was corridor. God, why did I do that?
But one of my clients said to me quite early on in lockdown, this is a male client, he said to me, Sam, I've got to share a little secret with you. He said, two coaching sessions ago, I was actually sitting in my boxers while we were doing this. And I was like, that was something I never really needed to know, to be fair. I couldn't see it and I could have lived without you sharing that, but thanks anyway. So yeah, I see what you mean, Carole.
But Kim always looks ace. She always has the iconic red dress on and red lipstick.
I'm not always sure I feel that great. I have the stresses of getting to nursery in the morning, and some days you're kind of like running out and starts like, Mummy, you've not got any lipstick on. I was like, I know, love, I know. I've got like a really small window. So one of the beauties actually of lockdown has been not having to rush from that, getting her to nursery for 7 and then getting across Grantham to get to the train station for 17 minutes past 7, which it was always like oh my goodness, heart in your mouth as you're like charging up as fast as you possibly can. So it's actually been slightly easier to turn up and remain dressed for work, knowing that actually my commute's a little bit different. But you guys know I'm a natural born hugger. I am really missing the opportunity to hug people. And one of my business friends, who is not a hugger, was like, when we're finally allowed properly out and properly to hug, I'm not coming near you for at least 6 months until you get it out of your system.
Actually, it's really interesting to say that, because last night the digital dinners event that we went to, that Thomas goes to every month, they haven't met for 6 months, and it's an all male, and they're sort of digital coders and programmers, and they've got their own businesses, and it's quite interesting. They're really flying through COVID because anybody who's got online is doing well, aren't they? But all the men there, they were all really missing the hugs. They said it. They were saying, I really hate the fact we can't hug each other, and so I think everybody's missing that, Kim. It's a really important part of life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, my brother said to me the other day, it's like, I've spent 47 years dreading hugging you, and now actually I'd give anything to be able to. I was like, see, all it took was a pandemic. I knew you'd get there eventually.
Exactly.
I think it's weird though in business for me, if I meet somebody for the first time, especially, not to shake their hand, because that's naturally how I would say hello to somebody, welcome and shake their hand, whether they're, a client or a prospective or whoever it might be. And that's you don't really know what to do. And I'm not doing the whole elbow thing, so it's almost a little bit of an awkward hi, like we'll just sit down then.
Carole, one of the things I was thinking about for me is this issue of gaining momentum, because I think when you are going out and about and you have a packed diary with, I've got Zooms and all sorts of things in and tasks, but when you have a diary, you've got to be somewhere and you're amongst other people, whether you work in an office usually or you're going to meetings, that creates a momentum. For me, I'm having to really fire myself and my momentum myself. That's something when you're talking to your clients and everything they're talking about.
Yeah, I think that two of the most common issues that my clients are coming up with at the moment is they can't focus properly and they can't seem to get clarity. There's a terrible lot of anxiety around the future. And I think we have to start looking at our Google diaries with a bit more kind of attention and vigilance, and build in, this is when I have a break, this is when I do this is how long it's going to take, and start to get a bit more focused on how you want your working day to look, because it wasn't about sitting and dashing around, but also not putting the laptop on at 8 in the morning and finishing at midnight, which is the other thing that you don't really know that your day begins and ends. So I think you have to kind of be quite focused and detailed in how you want your working day to look. And obviously your priority list, what do I want to get done today? And the second thing my clients are worried about is anxiety about the future. How can I plan now when I don't know what's going on? But I really do think those who do plan now will be flying out as soon as all this lifts properly, because you've got to plan and you've got to act as if the future does exist, and these are the things that you want for your future, which may have changed slightly, but still have the plans, even though you can't see very far at the moment.
Yeah, I think somebody's computers is making a bit of a noise in the background. I don't know which one of ours. Sorry, anybody that's listening. We were talking also, weren't we, last week about motivation and about how our motivation sort of changes. Some of us are motivated, unfortunately will be through scarcity. How am I going to feed my family and motivate like that? But I thought you made a really good point about the fact that, if you're not motivated to go and buy some new smart clothes because you're not going out much, or you're not motivated to be able to go on holiday because you can't really take those sort of things. It's that finding that inner motivation as well, and rewards, isn't there?
Well, what does motivate you? I think that's the question, and it's not always things. It can be feelings. So it's what's the feeling I'm looking for? Freedom, peace, accomplishment, achievement, joy. That's motivation. What do I want to feel when I get to my goal? Because we all know, you buy the big purchase, after a few weeks it becomes normalized. It just becomes a thing that I thought. So I think the new motivation is, how do I want to feel at the end of this?
Yeah, I think that's good.
So what is the new normal then? Because we're talking about normalizing things and planning for the future. Obviously, nobody knows what the future is, or what's, where even the next few weeks are going. So how are we coping with the new norm? Kim, what's life for you? What's your new norm? Have you actually sussed out your new norm?
I kind of think so, but I guess, for me, the future's never been known. I think we had a belief of what we thought the future was going to look like, but the reality is we never really knew what it was. And the only place that ever really needs us is the present. And we forget that sometimes, don't we? So we spend too much time in our past, which no longer needs us, or too much time projecting into our future, which isn't promised to us. So actually getting really present with the right now, I guess it's a skill we need to master. And I think this enforced pauses forced us to do that, to kind of take that step. And for me, not a lot changed. I mean, you know, I'm living on my own with my little girl, so funnily enough, I didn't go out that much in an evening because she's upstairs and it would be inappropriate and bad parenting to leave her on her own. So I didn't do very much of that. But I've now ended up probably seeing more of my friends, not less of them, because we suddenly realised we were all locked in. So we joined a virtual pub quiz and we became record breakers because there was 173,000 other people that joined us one week to take part. And we now connect every week, whereas we used to see each other probably every month or something because we don't live that close. And I think it's made us really much more appreciative of each other. That seems to be one of the things that I find. You know, people have been so kind. The amount of Zoom calls that I've been on that Scarlett suddenly turned up in to join in, and you guys know, I mean, she joins us all the time dressed as Elsa, or showing you Lenny or Tedders, and you kind of like there going, it's not massively professional as we've got Lenny zooming up to the screen to show everybody, but people have been fine and people have actually enjoyed it. I think the fact that that's becoming our norm. So I wonder if it's made us all take ourselves a little bit less seriously, perhaps.
Yeah.
I resonate with that, Kim. I've shared with you all and some of my clients, not all of them, but the most, I think, reality check, the biggest reality check I had was Finn, who is my youngest son, who's 8, firing Nerf bullets at my head whilst I'm sitting here like this trying to conduct a coaching call. I didn't know whether to embrace it and go with it and, you know, fire one back or just to completely ignore it. I didn't know. But I think you're right, because for me, I'm really, you know, one of my things is about professionalism and put on that business front. It doesn't matter whether I've got children at home or not. But actually, the only person that really cared is me, you know, and I needed to just take myself less seriously at that point.
Yeah, I was interested actually. Do you know, somebody was telling me yesterday that there's a post apparently, which you must look up, Washington Post or New York Post talks about productivity and how they gauge productivity. Everybody's productivity went up when we first went into COVID because, you know, they weren't traveling and they were achieving so much more. Yeah. But actually, I've heard that productivity is starting to decline. And I find that really interesting. And I think that's how do we all manage to keep ourselves productive whilst also trying to have some of these lovely new habits and embracing a new life as well. Because none of us, and you talked about feelings, Carole, and none of us like it when we don't feel productive, do we? No. And yeah, that's something that, you know, how do you create your new normal, I think is a really interesting thing where you find those balances, those feelings.
I think the remote revolution, and we've got someone on the call called Remote Revolution, is that we have to find these new ways of working. And I heard the other day at a networking thing, so I'm doing all my networking online now. So everything's online, everything, you know, so businesses can start up and have a fantastic audience now because they're more savvy about online, you know, workshops, that kind of thing. And she was saying, I'm going to do a reflexology workshop online. So I was thinking, well, do you have to put your foot on the desk and like do all this reflex? But, you know, why not? It used to be something you might have to go to a special, you know, clinic or spa to learn reflexology, but you can actually do. So I think people are being very creative in ways of how to use online courses and change your business so you can do downloads. And, you know, I think we're just having to be far more creative and with new ideas and just accept that might be part of our business now.
Yeah, I mean, it's accelerated. So I heard the statistic that this has accelerated the online remote world by 15 years, and it's not happened gradually. For some of us, we have been working at home, and I think a lot of people that are tuning into this have probably been home working, self-employed or small businesses. But there's this whole group of people that are adjusting to it for the first time, isn't it? And you sort of, and the isolation of it all, which is what we want to try and solve, isn't it? Some of those feelings of not, you know, what is normal. I think what is normal is us talking normal. You know what I mean? Sharing, because I've noticed some people are still making out everything's absolutely perfect in their lives, aren't they? And things have changed. You know, financial models, we've all had to learn new skills. Hell, it has been an amazing journey, hasn't it?
It really has. But the other thing is, you were saying how to keep motivated. What about having an accountability buddy?
Yeah.
You know, someone that you say at the end of the day, just via email, I've done this, this, and this, which I said I would do. Someone who can hold you accountable. Even that can keep you prioritising the most important things on your to-do list, which is never ending, of course.
Yeah, I actually am quite excited. I've just taken on a new PA today. And we just had a couple of hours of onboarding with each other. And I said to her, do you know, one of the things I really want from you, which I don't know how you factor that in apart from checking the hours, is some emotional support for me, just to have someone to talk things through with. That Thomas and I work together and it's great. But, you know, it's just sometimes that sort of someone you just say, is this sane? Is this, how do I handle this situation? You know, this is how I'm feeling today. Can you help me get out of this rut or whatever? So,
I think you're right. I think it's really important, just out, isn't it? And we, you know, us three are lucky because we have each other and we talk a lot. And we share all of our frustrations or happiness and successes, and we talk a lot on WhatsApp, but we talk a lot like this. So we have a lot of output, and we all run or belong to mastermind groups as well. So we have access to a lot of trusted people in business that we can talk to. You've always said business is fake, and it can be fake, very fake. And this is, I think, what half of what's driven this concept, this Business Blondes initiative, is about us being real. There's nothing fake about this. You know, so I love that. I love the fact that, you know, our new norm is about maybe being a bit more real.
Yeah. And I think we're going to share that, aren't we, on this? Because, you know, if our mojo is low, if something's gone wrong, we want to share that, don't we? And because I think that's one of the loneliest parts of the online world, is not really being able to tune into the frequency of people who are telling the truth.
Yeah.
You know, and the water cooler moment, or when you are going out and seeing more friends and having a coffee or whatever, you somehow can find that leveling experience. But it's there's no doubt about it. I mean, I know we track on our health check, we track people, and I've tracked it for 7 months now, and loneliness is increasing. People, when they answer that feeling of loneliness. So it's a big thing. That
it's hard, isn't it? Because, you know, the thing is, we're social animals, so we want to be connected. And actually, one of the biggest challenges for business owners, but also for organizations, is how do you keep people socially connected in a remote world? And actually, you know, you talk about the virtual water cooler, and one of the things I wrote about in the book was the virtual water cooler, how you have to create that space for people to be connected. Because as we start to become disconnected, we start to doubt ourselves, then we start to feel lonely, then we start to lose connection. And yet the terrifying statistic is that 57% of people leave their boss, not an organization. So the challenge for anybody who's got people is, we've got to step it up. We've got to get out there and make sure our people are connected, make sure we're touching in with them. Have we seen if they're not turning the camera on Zoom? Because that's probably one of the first signs that they're starting to feel isolated. And I think that's going to be our next challenge, is how do we help people feel connected? How do they get reconnected with an organization? And for small business owners, how do you create that virtual water cooler with other small business owners? I mean, we're so lucky, ladies, aren't we? Because we've got each other, as well as our other fabulous networks that that we're able to call upon. But we have a bit of a down day, and we know that we just have to WhatsApp each other, and somebody will be there to boost us up, but to keep it real, because actually we don't want that false motivation. We don't want somebody just going, smack, like plaster a smile on and keep going. You want somebody to go, I get it, I know it's tough.
I think you've hit across a really good point there. And I think boredom as well. I know I was having a conversation with a global client earlier this week, and he was saying that his team of field engineers are used to being away more than they're home. And right now their feeling is just boredom because they can't do their jobs properly. They're having to remodel their positions in being able to, service clients remotely. But for them, part of the around the world, 70% of their working year is abroad. And that's why they took that role. So he's got a new challenge of leading his team out of boredom.
Yeah. Gosh, that's really interesting, isn't it?
My biggest fear is for the young people, because they've been stuck in the house for months. If they were being sensible, they didn't go out much. And they want to be with their friends. This is the most important time in their lives. And when you're in a new job as well, you want the colleagues as much a part of the job as earning money and learning things. It's going for the drink after work. It's even office romances. It's creating friends for life in the workplace. And physically going somewhere is that I'm going to work now. And given that most young people are like this all the time anyway, getting away from a screen is really important for them. So I really hope that companies are leading this, and even if it's 1 day a week, let's all come back safely distancing, perhaps having some fruit and sandwiches on the table. It's great to see you back, but encouraging physical meetings again, particularly for the young.
Yeah, and it was a shock, wasn't it, last night or the night before, when we all heard, we were going back to the 6 people. But, they are trying to keep the workplace still being able to meet up. But what I think people are very confused by that. So with some of the work we do, we've got this mastermind, we're all the venue. I thought, oh my goodness, the venues aren't going to meet up, and I've paid all the venue costs and everything, but there's still, as long as it's under 30, you can still arrange stuff in business. And the dinner that we went to last night, there were, I think, 12 of us, and they arranged it at the table. We even rotated, and they cleaned the table down as people rotated. And so we can actually probably do more than a lot of us realize. But we can sort of attach ourselves to the rules and not look outside of what we're hearing. And there's a lot of media fear going on again, isn't there? And it's whether we manage to keep ourselves above that in a way, and keep within the rules, but know what the rules are.
As a journalist, before being a coach, 30 years a journalist, I so wish the press would flag up some darn good news and stop focusing on fear, because what you focus on expands. And given that the whole world has had a massive existential wake-up call, we need positive news that the numbers are going down, the deaths are going down, but they all focus on the glaring headline, the lurid headline, and we actually need some good news coming through now, things that are working, businesses that are flourishing, and that would build the confidence up again.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Anybody that understands the online world are growing fantastically. They as I said yesterday at this digital dinner, so the phenomenal growth. But that means, people getting past fear and into that growth mindset of what can I learn? What can I learn? What's my new knowledge that I can gain to be able to pivot? And I just think I know a few people that, quite happily now would climb into bed. Unfortunately, they've got that. They've allowed themselves to get really down, and it's hard when you're feeling that way to then say, and I've got to plug into a webinar for an hour to learn new skills when you feel like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
no, it is hard. And I think if we have got, more examples of people that are thriving. I mean, we've got Leslie, who's online with us today, who's put in the chat that she's moved her hand reflexology business online and actually, had to adapt or lose a client. So real opportunities for people to demonstrate how they are taking the situation and doing something different with it to try and inspire the rest. But I get it. It's really hard when, when you're feeling down, when you've not got that same motivation. It's like, how do you get that back, isn't it? And Caroline, you made some great points, which is, what's the feeling I'm trying to get out of today? And I try every day to wake up and spend a couple of minutes of gratitude, a couple of minutes of these are the things I'm grateful for. And one of them is that I've woken up again and there's another day, so I get another chance, because I think if we can be grateful for the small things, it helps us build the courage to tackle the big things that we can't see right now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one positive, especially for SMEs, is the amount of funding which is being made available by the government for post-COVID recovery support is enormous right now. And I know there are huge, great tenders being, put out there at the minute for business support. And that is something that is, a big positive that potentially, nobody knows about as well. There are positives, you're right, Penny, that we need to look out for and cling on to, because, Caroline, you've been a journalist for many, many years. You know how it works better than I do. But you're right. We are in a media frenzy of negativity right now. And we can let that consume us, can't we?
Yeah.
You can, and people who don't understand how the press work will read this and get nervous and anxious, and the more you focus on the negative, the bigger it gets. And I think there should be a page in every newspaper, which I used to do in the Daily Express, called Happy Monday, but at some space, this is the good news. These are in the stock market, these are the companies that are thriving, this is how many new businesses started, this great charity has donated this to something, something just to balance the relentless negative, lurid headlines. We need good stuff coming on to amazing stuff,
One of the things we will talk about, and we've got some good guests that we're lining up, and anybody listening in, tell us if you feel that you'd be a great guest. But we talk about the growth and the fixed mindset, and I think the thing is, there's some people with that fixed mindset, and that's Dr. Carole Dweck that talks about this, are actually always looking for proof that they are right. And so the media is helping them to prove that actually life is as bad as I think it is. Whereas some of us, fortunately, have some reason that we're looking for the reasons that there are so many opportunities still. And it's a lot of it comes down to mindset, which is brilliant, because that's what we all love talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
we can bring some positivity every week. Perhaps we can share good news every week in business that is going to really, really be positive.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a tip to share, don't we? So I'll go first, and I'll let you, which is basically what Kim said earlier, because we'd like to always leave you with something you can action each week. But my tip as a life coach is, as Kim said earlier, stay in the now. We don't know what's about to happen. All sad thoughts are when your mind goes to the past, or anxiety is projections onto the future, scary scenarios. So whenever you can stay in the now, a little 5-minute meditation, walk around the garden with your cup of tea, I know, just do something mindfully. That is how you cope with going forward. So it's my tip.
That's lovely. Shall I go with mine? So I was thinking that, I've been through quite a lot of financial adversity in the past, and I've not hidden from sharing that. I know a lot of people will be going through that, but actually the wonder of things like that is almost an opportunity to have a clean sheet of paper and start to design the life you want and the business you want, and really start to create that self-awareness of, actually, if I was given a chance to really design what I want now and reboot myself, what would that life and business be?
Yeah, and I'll follow on from that, because my tip comes from a coaching session I did this morning, where I said to somebody, you know what, you've got this role, own it. This is your role to own now. Put that suit on every morning and own it, because it's yours.
Yeah, I like that.
I love it. All great tips, ladies. And I guess, I would just add that you just have to believe in yourself. I wrote a quote, because everyone knows I love a quote. I wrote one for my little girl, but I think it's true for everybody, which is to stay curious, be kind, to trust and believe in yourself, because we are all proof that miracles happen, because we all are. Every one of us is proof that miracles happens, and if we can just keep that belief, then it's amazing what we can do. And can you believe that we've almost come to the end of half an hour, and we were here about 32 minutes ago going, oh my goodness, what if we run out of things to say? What if we've got nothing else to come up and we go into a drought? Like that was ever going to happen with us. So before we end, shall we just tell people about next time?
Do it.
Yeah.
Go for it. Okay. So for everybody who's watching us, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And it's been amazing to have so many of you comment. We've done our best to keep up with you, but thank you. So it's going to be weekly. It's going to be live on YouTube and live on Facebook. We would love you guys to get involved, because this is a show for everybody. We want to keep it real. We want to keep it raw. We want to keep it honest, but we want to be able to help people feel connected. Back to the points we've been talking about is, how do we stay connected? And we're hoping that this show will do that for you. So please get in touch. Our website is www.businessblondes.tv. And you can find us on all social media as Business Blondes TV as well. So we would love for you to like, share, and get involved. Tell us what subjects are really important to you. What is it that's on your mind right now? And if you want to be a guest and you think you can share your knowledge to help other people, again, please get in touch. Our email address is hello@businessblondes.tv. So that's probably it from us for right now. So ladies, it's a pleasure as absolutely always. Do you want to say bye to our viewers?
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.